Yes, guys, welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. As Tottenham travel down to Craven Cottage to take on Fulham in round 2 of the Carabao Cup. Of course, we're not used to being in it this early because we're usually in Europe, but because of our failures last season, we have to enter at the second stage, and we are the only all-Premier League tie drawn out of this, which we'll get into in a minute. And we have a lot to talk about in the build-up to today's game, so hopefully you guys enjoy it and the talking points. At home, do not be afraid to get involved. Get your comments in. Make sure you hit the likes and feel free to send in any super chats or anything like that and engage with us in multiple ways like that. But of course, as you can see, we've got a good panel here with us today to build us up to tonight's game and the start of a cup run, which I hope under Ange Postecoglou. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm doing all right today. It's Tuesday, and we're going to be fed some Ange tonight, Dave. Earlier than we usually are fed it, and it's nice to get, kind of a rebound, and, we don't have to wait so long. And I must be honest, I feel like I like going to the Craven Cottage. I like, looking at it from the TV sort of a perspective.
Yeah.
It looks like the cameramen have to climb, plenty of rafters and plenty of ladders in order to get up to the certain, perches. But it also just has sort of an old school vibe to it. Feels like, though, most of the games have been very dull, though, with kind of Fulham in the past. Like, I feel like I can remember some pretty kind of cagey, really boring affairs between Jose and Fulham, between Conte and Fulham. So looking forward to seeing what Ange can do over at the Cottage today,
Dave. Hopefully some magic, Jack.
I can't believe you didn't continue the food analogies there. You were like being fed some Ange ball, gonna have these Gonna have them on toast, the cottage cheese on toast,
and
full of ham. You just stop dead on fed Ange ball.
I've just had a big serving of cottage pie, so just tasting victory tonight.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And of course, we have the one and only Paul from down under, very early. Well, late, early, whatever you want to call it for Paul right now. So fair play to the commitment, lad. How are you keeping?
I'm good, man. I've had a couple of hours sleep, and unlike last year where I'd be hitting the snooze button a few times, I'm rearing to go, man, because this is revenge. This isn't just a football game. It's revenge for 1999 when they kicked us out of the League Cup.
That it is. That is, and I cannot wait to get it going. And, of course, we have the returning Brains. Brains, how you keeping, my man? Great to have you.
Yeah, I'm good, man. It's all good. It's good to have Paul on, our official Australia correspondent. What I like about you, Paul, is you're no nonsense. Like, you got that old school mentality, and I fucking love it. I think there was one time you're on here, and Dave was saying something. He was just like trying to gauge your opinion on something. I think it was something about like, does Ange need this, that, and you just turned around and said, "Is like." Balls, mate. It's all balls. I love that. Just fuck off. No nonsense approach. Absolutely gold.
Thanks, man.
Oh, I know. It is. It is. But look, I think we're in for a great chat this afternoon. So thank you very much, everybody, for giving up your time. Let's welcome some people in, and then let's give them the information that they need to know, and then we'll crack on. So let's see who we've got with us now. We have Terry Bates. He says, Spurs to win 3-1 tonight. Big up, Terry, my man. Kate, big up, Kate. Hopefully you're keeping well. Good to see you in the building. Where's the other half? Usually he's not too far behind you. Big up, Adrian Straka. Good afternoon, my man. Great to see you. We also have Iceman. Big up, fellas, and everyone in the chat. Let's keep these positive vibes going. Spurs 4 to win, 3-0 to get 3-0 to get on the score sheet. Gio to get on the score sheet. Come on, you Spurs. Not a bad prediction, my man. Big up, Iceman. Jazzy Fusion says, Byron, interested in Dyer. I mean, I'll believe it when I see the bid come in. You want me to be brutally honest. Doesn't make sense to me. Really doesn't, unless Harry Kane is missing a golfing buddy out there. Mark says, tight game tonight, 2-1. It very well could be, my man. Dan N says, Spurs going to show the scum how it's done tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Dan N. Calavius says, good afternoon. Big up, Calavius. Chris Van White says, afternoon, boys. Let's get this win. Big up, my man. Let's get after that W. Good to see you in the building, Martin Knightsbridge. Hopefully you're keeping well. Neil Shafton says, having a heat wave here, which is normal, but temps 35, not too comfortable. Look, big men like me don't deal well in the heat, my man. We'd rather go on holiday to Greenland than places like that. Big up. Jamie says, hi, Dave, Jack, Brains, and Hippie Paul. Big up, my man. Great to see you in, Jim. Jazzy Jones says, big up, Dave, Jack, Brains, Paul, and Peeps in the chat. He's gone one better than Jim. He's gone with the people in the chat. Big up, Jazzy Jones. And Mark New, my man, great to see you in the building. He says, big up Dave Jack. The road to Wembley starts here. Big Ange will play a strong team and should give game time to Solomon and Perisic up front. Will he rotate Richie and Sonny as number 9? Well, that will definitely, my man. Big yourself up. And then, of course, we have the one and only Moon Doggy Dog. He says, ain't it great? Looking forward to the match again. But look, this is what I love about the Cup. It takes you sort of away from the pressure of the league and the continuous need for 3 points, this, that, and the other. It's one winner takes all. Both teams going for it, you know. And for me, I absolutely love the Cup. It's just a different vibe around it. It's exciting, right? It's fresh. It's and I predict we won't have the struggles that we've had in it over the last 3 to 4 years. So Moondog, I'm definitely excited, my man. Big yourself up, buddy, and great to see you in the building. Let me make sure I'm not missing anyone. Kem, big up, Kem. Great pump up panel. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an absolute fun. Davey Clark says at least we won't have to see two crazy men going up against each other. Mitrovic against Romero. Yeah, look, thank God Mitrovic ain't there. That's absolutely unreal. And then we have San Hallen says, Dyer to Byron Kane's official sneakers boot cleaner. Wouldn't surprise me. Sarah A says, Jack, is that your favorite Spurs kit that you're wearing?
I was actually telling people on the back end that what can happen sometimes is you can be given, you know, a Spurs kit, you know, for Christmas by an aunt or, you know, by somebody that's just looking, you know, for a, you know, a gift. And I was given, you know, very generously a Sunny kit, but this, you know, this gift giver was very, I guess, you know, confident that I would be able to rock this, because at first we kind of labeled this as sort of the scuba sort of suit or kind of the wetsuit type of kit. And I think you really need to be, you know, kind of at your fully confident in order to really rock it. So I guess I'm coming out, you know, confident today, Zerace, that, you know, I guess this color scheme will work on me. The neon, you know, nobody will be able to hit me on the street. You know, I'd be glowing up at night.
Jack's getting ready for some cup diving. That's exactly what he's getting ready for, my man. It's pick a trophy time today. Big up, Sarah. Slow Jamrod, great to see you in the building. Also, big up, IrishHotspur. Great to see you. Mary WLO guys, Spurs 2-0 win. Strong team to show intent for trophies. Bradley Thomas says 4-0 to Spurs. Rooty Toot says, hi all. Just seen that Brentford bid 18 million for Johnson in Jan 2022, just over 18 months ago, and nearly got him for that, but Forest decided to hold out on him for promotion. Go figure. Look, also, you got to remember, you got the homegrown tax. He's in the Premier League now. He's producing, so you've got the homegrown sort of tax put on top, my man. But big up, Rooty Toot. Big up, Balpinder. Digania says, big up, Pano. I mean, that sounded sexy in the Irish accent. You got to give me that. Moondog says, are you going for your Richie bet? Dave, got it on. I won't lie. I won't lie. I won't lie, Moondog. I've got it on. I didn't put a £5 on it. I only put €2 on it. So I'm sort of half, you know, sort of playing with it. But look, you know, let's see what happens, my man. But big up, Moondog. Who have you got on tonight? Do let me know.
We also have Big Mike. Take care of Dave, Moondog. You know, last time, you know, we had to advise you to get off the Dyer bets. Looks like this season we're going to have to get Dave off the Richie bets at some stage. We're going to have to get him clean.
Look, I just want him to do it. I really do. Big up, Big Mike. Welcome to the community, my man. New IrishHotspur member, Jacko. Do we know which one he's got?
He's grabbed the fan show membership. Big up to Big Mike. Come on and have your say, my friend. And also as well, if you feel like at any stage, you know, Monday or, you know, in the near future, the next fan show would be Monday. Come on and have a say with us, my man. And I'm forgetting there's also another benefit to the fan show membership that I'm forgetting about right now. But Big Mike, thank you very much, my friend.
Don't forget the quiz is coming just after deadline day as well. For all you members, it'll be a league table throughout the season and the winner gets a prize. So make sure you hop on that, Big Mikey. Great to have you on board, brother. Neil Shafton says 2023, the Rev Ange payback is a biatch tour. I love the way you put that, my man. Love the way you put it. It's going to be, look, we're going to ball out. I absolutely can't wait tonight. And I'm more excited to see like Perisic, Solomon, people like that, you know, some players that we haven't seen already. That's what I'm more excited about, Neil. But great to have you in the building, my man. Big yourself.
Can Ange compete with Taylor Swift, Paul? Do you think in Australia? Who's bigger, Ange or Taylor Swift?
Oh, big time, man. He's a draw card over here. Rod Stewart, when he was over here recently, his conference when he was singing. What was his song? Something about love. I love you or something. I can't remember what it was. But while he was singing, he'd have a big backdrop, a big, huge picture of Ange behind him on stage. It was brilliant.
Love it.
Anyway.
Absolutely love it.
But
And
not
Harris
anymore,
too.
man. Not anymore, because he's ours.
Yeah,
Daniel
now
Levy
Robbie
in
Williams
charge
will be
of
doing
Florida.
that.
But big up Neil Shafter, my man. Really appreciate support. Just a couple more welcomes in, and then we will crack on. Tom Tucker says, big up, everyone. Looking forward to the game tonight. Big up, Tom. Big up, Gwen Evans. Good to see you. Joshua says, big up, lads. I see us winning. We've got a great record at the Craven Cottage. We do, my man. Andrew Seymour says, good afternoon, guys. Hope everyone is good. We're all good. How are you, brother? Big up, Foggy Foam. Great to see you as well. We also have Shafe Saljad as a new YouTube member, Jacko.
Grabbing the Flat Cap membership. Welcome to the Flat Cap Army, Shafe, my friend. And if you want to get any extra pre-match thoughts that are only exclusive to you and the rest of the members, feel free to check out Dave and I's pre-match thoughts from yesterday, my friend. And also, Dave will be giving you some post-match thoughts as well. That's only exclusive to you, only exclusive to your ears, my friend. Big up, Shafe.
And when we win, they're a great watch, to be fair. So pick yourself up, Shafad. Make sure you enjoy that. Big up Faye and Derek Hutchinson as well. Big yourselves up. I don't think I've missed everyone. So everyone, welcome in. We're going to crack on. I'm going to just quickly give you all the things that you do need to know. So, of course, we are down at Craven Cottage. So make sure you've got your cottage pie in the oven ready for 7:45, because that is when we kick off the game tonight. So make sure you're sitting on the couch and ready for that. Referee, this took some digging to do, so make sure you note this down, because all the decisions fall on him tonight. There's nowhere to hide because there's no VAR. So Josh Smith is your referee. So if anything goes wrong, we know who we need to sort of find. And then, of course, on the TV, it's not on in the UK and Ireland. I've so many people ringing me and texting me today, Dave, can you sort me out with a link? I can't. I can't. I'm going to struggle to get it myself. I will get it, but I'm going to struggle. But I'm just letting you know now, it is on ESPN Plus and beIN Sports. So if anyone wants to you've got plenty of time now to grab yourself a VPN and then get over and find them in Australia or the USA. Or if you've got any of them sort of apps, we all know what we're talking about here, you might get it on them as well. But that's the channels where they are on. So you're going to have to get on and try and find them nice and early, but I've told you where you can find them. So that is the match details. Then the injury news, of course, Gil Messi is still out. He's just waiting to come back and show everyone how good he is. And then we've got Bentancur as well, a.k.a. Ben Teckers, still out as well. And also Sessegnon as well, a.k.a. Messingnon. And then for Fulham, 2 players of note out. Willian, I think he's just scared to play against us, to be honest with you. And then Calvin Bassey, who picked up 2 yellows and a red card at the weekend. So he is suspended for tonight's tie. Now, before we do get into it, though, did Tottenham have released their 3rd jersey tonight? This is the jersey we will be playing in. So I want to get everyone's quick thoughts on it. So we'll start with you, Brains. You're up above me, so we'll start with you, my man. What's your thoughts on the 3rd kit that we're playing in tonight?
Not a fan of it, if I'm honest. I don't like men in salmon. I don't think it's a. I don't think it's a good. I mean, I don't even know what color that is, but that picture there, they do look like a bunch of fannies. I'm not gonna lie. It's a bit, yeah. It's just an odd color for me. I think you have to have a certain physique and complexion to be able to rock that. Kulu just looks like he's in the hospital. He looks pretty horrible in it, you know. It looks I'm not a fan of it at all. The 3rd kit's always a bit of a scam. It's always like they just make some crazy kits. Jack, you'll know what I'm talking about.
What do you mean?
Jack knows.
What are you talking about?
You have to rely on like a crazy aunt who's just got out of the mental hospital, like, to buy you it, you know. It's always a bit of a scam, like the 3rd kit, you know. But yeah, I don't really get it. But yeah, you know, whatever they're gonna do, it's like it's alternate marketing, I believe they call it, where they get something that's gonna cause such a negative in the fan base that it forces other people to go the other way, you know.
I wonder is an attempt to be invisible, because when you've got the floodlights on and all, you might struggle to actually see our players. So I wonder is an attempt to sort of be visible and blend in. But Paul, there's a lot of debate around what actual color is it. Some are saying salmon, some are saying it looks a bit like a hot chocolate sort of color. I mean, what do you make of it?
It's like someone left some tins of Spam out in the sun for a bit. It's absolutely revolting. But if it's like salmon, then maybe when we're watching it, it'd be like, you know, those pictures of salmons jumping up the waterfall. Maybe there's something, you know, going against the tide. I mean, it's just one for the hipsters, isn't it, that they can buy and wear ironically.
And Jack sitting down there with a big guilty head.
Wearing that.
Yeah, to be honest, the fact that I'm wearing this one, if I were to compare the last season's third kit to this one, I kind of like this one's more than the one I'm wearing right now. So I think I would actually be tempted if I'm already, you know, bold enough to even wear this one. I might as well, you know, give it a go. I think Pedro Porro looks really good in this one. So if I was maybe on vacation to Mexico or something and I came back with a good tan, not too much sunburn, then I think I'd actually be able to rock it. But if I actually had a lot of sunburn, that'd be bad because then I'd just be blending in right into that kit, to be honest. So there's definitely some danger there. But I also feel like what Paul is spot on about is it's maybe more for the hipsters. So I look forward to seeing plenty out in Brooklyn, Dave. Yeah, wearing this, you know, without actually knowing that it's even a Spurs kit. Maybe they just like the design. I guess it's trying to tap into the hipster market, I think, in some way. The Yankee market.
Why do I feel like I have a feeling Nick Lazy 8 is going to be all over this one? I just have that feeling. Look, for me, I'll be honest, if I put it on, I'd look like a ham sandwich. So I don't think that'd do me any sort of justice. Look, not a fan of it, everyone. You know me, it should be Harry Kane's face all over that kit. They got it absolutely wrong. But yeah, not a fan of it. I just thought I'd bring it up and gauge everyone's reactions. I've seen some funny stuff over social media. So yeah, basically that's the kit we're rocking tonight. So you might want to get on your night vision goggles if you want to spot us. But there we are. That is the kit we are rocking tonight. We have a super chat here from Moondog, and he says, looks like a boy band in that kit.
I do have a friend in a boy band over here in Brooklyn, so I could maybe get that kit, hand it over to him, and, you know, see, you know, how it goes. Like I said, I think Paul's dead on. I think it's maybe more designed to tap into that hipster Yank market, if there is one, you know, to see if they can actually latch on to these. Because you got to sell to everybody, Dave. You can't just sell to Spurs fans. You got to see if you can tap into other markets.
What's that pink guy in SpongeBob SquarePants? Is it Squidward?
It's Patrick.
That's what I would look like if I had that on. But Moondog, yeah. Look, I'm not sure. I don't really like it. If you want me to be brutally honest, they should have took me up on my design offer. Would have sold more, I reckon. But big up, Moondog, my man. Appreciate the support, brother. Big up. I knew it. I absolutely knew it. Big up, Nick. And by the way, Nick has a belter song coming for everybody as well. He's working on it. And big up Kuva as well. He says it doesn't matter what kit we wear. It's all about how it makes the opponents feel, and they're beating on our way to definitely winning the treble. Jack, you were saying some people said it looks like fleshlight color. You know, which I found quite amusing as well.
No one likes losing to a team with a bad kit color, because if you're already losing 3 or 4-0, to then lose to a team, you know, in really bad colors, or, you know, especially imagine even losing to somebody in this kit, you know, I think it's definitely, you know, an extra added blow. So that you could think of it that way. Just extra embarrassment.
Oh, thank God that's off the screen. That was hurting my eyes. But anyway, look, let's get into it. Let's get chatting, boys. I mean, we'll start with you on this one, Paul. Tottenham, of course, travel to Craven Cottage tonight to take on Fulham in round 2 of the Carabao Cup. Now, it is the only all-Premier League tie in this round. And I wonder, was there a hot ball system sort of put in place? Because I feel like they've set this one up. They know Tottenham away from home in the Cups. They would have all done their research. We go out. No coincidence, they put us in round 2 against a Premier League team away from home. What's your thoughts on the draw, to be honest with you, Paul? I think a hot ball system was used there, personally.
Well, so you're saying it might be the Illuminati back at work in the Premier League trying to scupper our chances. It don't matter, though. It doesn't matter. If you want to win the cup, you've got to play the best teams in it. And, you know, I'm excited about tonight, man. I don't care. They could have picked us against Liverpool if in the next round. I don't care, man. We're winning this thing because we're going for the treble this year.
Oh, absolutely love it. Paul or Brains, Jack, have you anything you want to say on the draw?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, like sometimes it actually it works out like kind of beneficial when you get a hard team early, because if you get like a kind of lower division team, it doesn't really do anything for you. Like the win, you're just kind of expected to win, you know. But if you can beat a team, maybe it makes a couple changes and you beat a team tonight, then it kind of can galvanize the run. And then what you should really want is for us to get Prem teams all the way through. You shouldn't want an easy, because that doesn't actually do anything. Say you get over Fulham tonight and then we get like a second division team. What happens is, again, you're like expected just to beat them. Whereas if you get another Prem team and then another Prem team, then you're on a run. You know, then your confidence is flying. So you shouldn't ever want easy teams in these types of competitions. The better the teams you get and you beat them, you go, the better the confidence is for the run. That's kind of how like a cup run mentality works. You don't want it easy all the way through.
True. Jack, do you agree with the sentiment from the two boys?
Initially, though, on the actual draw itself, Dave, I do kind of subscribe to the theory that perhaps there's been, maybe a bit of a weighted ball, hot ball situation here, because at the end of the day, the Carabao Cup, they need to make as much sort of revenue from these fixtures as they can. And it's probably the least watched of the League Cups. Even the FA Cup is dwindling or kind of losing its magic, as they're saying. And kind of even the younger generation has, I guess, to a lot of people, maybe not taken as much interest as maybe others would have liked in kind of the League Cup fixtures. So you could say they're doing maybe their best they can to sort of make it enticing or make it interesting to the average viewer.
Wouldn't they then have gone to Sky and said, you must play this game, though, like, or influenced them to play the game? Because Sky are not interested in the game. So it doesn't really work out for promotion of the Carabao to have two Prem teams playing each other. Sky have lost a bit of a trick, if you're asking me.
Yeah, but I guess ESPN, have it over here. And it's also, I think the Carabao is even like a Thai energy drink. So who knows, maybe over in Thailand, it's seen as the major fixture that they all look at. I'm not sure, but I guess it's in some way I subscribe to the theory that perhaps they did try to at least make this more of an interesting game as they could. But I kind of feel like I still prefer the easier fixtures. I still prefer the easier opponents throughout, even if we did get mixed up with some championship sides. I do feel like with the sort of style of play that we have, it actually suits us more to play against those sort of teams than it does maybe to, play against teams that are maybe a bit of higher quality, because the way that we are with how much possession we're going to have, how much, relentless, sort of attacks that we would throw at whatever defense we'll come up against. I feel like a championship side would crumble probably sooner to what Ange is trying to build here than maybe what other teams would in kind of the Premier League. And to be honest, I also don't want to play those other Premier League sides too often, right? You want to, make them guess. You don't want to give them that extra clue about how we play or, what type of style we have. So I think I'd rather play as many championship sides as possible.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I wasn't complaining on the run with Jose Mourinho where we got a bye. We played Stoke. We played Brentford in the semi-finals and got to the final. I'll be honest. I wasn't complaining when I was sitting there doing the watch-along for We Are Tottenham TV that day with the cup run. But look, I'm just saying sometimes, yes, I believe in magic. Sometimes I don't. And on this one, I'm not sure I do. Anyway, Adrian Chia says Fulham must be cussing that they drew us this round too. Just to let you know, by the way, I think they went out to Crawley Town at this stage last year. So they are known for going out early in the cup runs. However, I do think they might want to try and maybe change that this time round. And I think a lot of these lower league Premier League teams are going to target this Carabao Cup, I reckon, because I think they see it as an opportunity, especially with a lot of the top half teams entering Europe and making a lot of changes and stuff like that. Look, I doubt they're too happy at all, Adrian Chia. But look, let's hope it's a nice script today. Hopefully, it's not the one that the Carabao Cup or anyone else sort of, want. Hopefully, we write the script tonight, man. We can be the script writers. That's what I want to be. And then big up Dark Sun G says, "Come on, you Spurs! I'm confident on a cup run with the God Ange." Well, look, Dark Sun G, that was my next talking point, my man. So we'll go off the back of this, brother, and we'll start with you on this one, Jacko. Look, we've come out so far, Jack. We've looked, I would say, fearless. We look hungry. And, you would say, a lot of maybe what happened last season and maybe early summer, it's sort of starting to heal itself as well a little. How far can we take this cup journey, Jacko? You know me, I predicted us to go all the way in this, at least to a final for sure.
Yeah, I see Ange taking the cups very seriously. I see him looking at least one of them, as a real opportunity to kind of unite the fan base, get them kind of feeling bubbly and, happy again. I think in a way he's already kind of done that pretty impressively so, actually. And you look at sort of other managers, across the Premier League, and you still hear people kind of saying, oh, well, they still need to find their identity. They still need to find, what they want to be, sort of thing. And it's kind of like with Ange, sort of straight away, we now know what we are, what we're trying to do, what we want to be. And that's very impressive how quickly I think he's done that. I think the fan base, for the most part, is nowhere near as sort of divided or as toxic as it once was, thanks to, I think, his sort of style of play, but also just his own mannerisms, how he comes across, his chemistry and everything. And just be nice to match all of that up, with some sort of cup run of some kind. And like you said, Dave, I think no one really cares how it happens, whether we get 3 buys and we play a round or a League 2 side and we get to the final. It doesn't really matter. I think we just want to see Spurs kind of at least, going far into some sort of kind of competition, because we at least get to feel like, it's a real physical kind of representation of, what Ange is doing. Because as much as I think we're going to try our best in the league this season, I think it's a bit of a free hit, for Ange to see how well he does. Of course, he's going to try and get back into European places. There is probably a bit of pressure on that, but I actually see this League Cup as a real chance for him to sort of at least show in kind of a real physical way, that Spurs are changing, and that Spurs are a different breed. Because previously under Conte, Mourinho, and Pochettino wasn't either taken all that seriously, kind of got knocked out in embarrassing ways. And it'd just be nice to see Ange just go about it differently than they have. And you see even Ten Hag, I know he's struggling right now, but last season they did have 2 very good cup runs. And I think that made sort of the united fan base, or at least back him a bit more. So Ange could probably take a page out of that book and do the same.
I bloody hope so. I really do hope so. Brains, do we have the strength and depth to put together a cup run alongside trying to maintain, a push for Champions League football in the league?
Yes, I think this game is a potential banana peel. Honestly, I don't think you can. Yeah, I know he said there'll be some changes, but I kind of read in that, because he also said he wants to win at all costs. I kind of read in that he's talking about players who we might be talking about, like Gio, and players who had a great preseason and probably that we haven't seen that we want to see, like Solomon. So, but he has to be careful. You cannot mess with that back line. Like, you can bring in Emerson and rotate Porro, because that's fine. You can get a bit more solidity. I don't think you can leave out Udogie for nothing. I don't think you can mess around and bring in Sanchez. You can't do that. Like, you're seriously risking going out. I would rather us not mess around too much with the starting lineup tonight and do it on the next game. Do it on Burnley. Do it on Sheffield United. I don't mind dropping points in those games. I do not mind. I mind going out of the cup. This is one. It's not even going to go into extra time, right? Go straight to penalties, right? So you cannot mess around. I say you put as strong a team out as you possibly can. But then again, I don't think you're losing too much if you put Solomon in and give him a chance to, because he'll go for it. He really will run the line. And if you have Perisic the other side, he's in great form. So Sonny through the center is something that this is an opportunity, you can say to Richie without breaking his confidence, look, you're going to start in the Prem on Sat, so we're going to go. You're not going to drop Sonny for nothing, right? Because he's a captain. You're not going to drop him tonight. So Sonny through the center, I would do. And I just think it's, and also, you have Gio, but I think you better have Maddison on the bench ready to come on if anything's starting to go, up. Maddison, Basuma ready to come on So yeah, I think we got to take it serious. I think we got to try and bury this game by the 65th minute, and it's not going to be an easy game. They are not an easy side. Like, if anyone watched that Arsenal game, they are not easy. And when they defend, they actually are very formidable. So I don't think it's an easy game. I don't think any of us should be sitting here looking like this is going to be 3-4-0. We are showing that we don't really score goals like that just yet. So max could be a 2-1, 2-0 win max. If really,
I agree with you. I think it is going to be a tight game. I do anticipate some changes. I think definitely down the sides for sure. Fullback, wingers. I think you might see rotation. But then the question comes in: You know, how much of a drop off in quality is it, and how effective is the system once you change these players? You know, we've seen some of these guys before, like Sanchez and Davies and people like that, in a lot of these cup exits before. So, you know, there is sort of a risk to it, and we will get onto that. We'll get onto that. We'll have a good discussion on that in just a moment. But Paul, I want to bring this up. Big up Dark Son G, by the way, my man. I really appreciate the support, brother. But Paul, I want to bring this up. This is Ange Postecoglou's message to the team today. This is what he said he'd be telling them. You know, heading into today's cup game, he says, "I love winning. I don't care what it is. I love winning, and the players know that. We have a game on Tuesday, and I want to win. This is all I'm thinking about. I don't care if it's a cup competition or whether or whatever it is, playing in the car park or on a rooftop. We just need to go out there and try to win because I love winning. That will be the message." And look, you can hear it from myself and Jack and Brains as well. We are confident enough that we think we can go on sort of a cup run. Where does the confidence come from that Big Ange can be the man to end the trophy drought, considering we have had serial winners in Conte and Mourinho where they sort of failed as well?
I think Ange just got his mentality flowing through the team at the moment. I mean, I love these quotes when he was saying this, because I think the reporter asked him about our Spurs don't care about cups, they just care about top four. So it was really nice as a fan to hear Ange say, "No, I want to win everything." And you know, I'm excited to see what the team lineup is, if there's any changes. You know, don't forget our B team took it to Barcelona only a few weeks ago when they just really been together for like a couple of weeks, really. So I'm not scared of it. And, you know, I know Ange is going to pick a team that he thinks is strong enough to win and have that mentality to win. And if he thinks a player, I don't know, I'll say Sanchez, but I don't necessarily mean him. But if there's any players that haven't, you know, that have maybe been scarred in the past, he'll take that into account as well. Because, like I said, he'd want to win a match on a car park rooftop. It was fantastic. So I'm excited. I think whatever side Ange picks, I think they've all shown that they can play his football. You know, some of them have got less fancy flicks and back heels, but like when Højbjerg came on last weekend, he still came on, did the basic job, kept it simple, short, sharp passes, very crisp. So I don't care, man. Bring it on. It's do or die. Let's go.
Paul, just a follow-up question. Is this sort of messaging any new and refreshing to you, or have we heard this with Jose and Conte before as well?
Well, and also Pochettino saying that, you know, trophies are just decoration or whatever dumb thing he said. You know, this is a different beast. And he'll know that, you know, he knew this when he went to Celtic, that, you know, the fans, we're craving for some sort of success. And if it's the League Cup, so be it. I don't care, man. Don't go and tell Ledley King that the League Cup doesn't mean anything. He'll knock your block off. A cup's a cup, man.
For sure. And Jacko, I mean, look, what do you make of the messaging? Because for me, I think, look, I'll be honest, I've heard this from managers before. Will tonight be a true test, you know, with some of the changes that we're anticipating to be made? Will it be a true test of, has Ange really changed the mentality of this squad?
Yeah, I guess. And I guess what previous managers have been unsuccessful in doing is making changes, you know, for these competitions, knowing that there are players that haven't been given minutes yet. But every time that I think previous managers have done that, we've seen a huge drop off in quality, a huge drop off in the performance. And it doesn't have anything to do, I think, with maybe players playing that maybe should have been rested, or players that maybe that could have been left in the team. It just seems that certain players look at these competitions as beneath them, or they look at maybe being as, you know, kind of a squad member that plays in these sort of games as beneath them. We've had kind of, I think, a rotten sort of mentality throughout the squad whenever we've had these games come up, whether it's Europa Conference League games, Europa League games, or even an FA Cup or a League Cup match. It all kind of gets treated the same by certain players. And it's going to be up to Ange, I guess, to change that. In a way, I think he has gotten rid of a lot of the players who I suspect, you know, were kind of a part of that problem. So I don't think he'll really have as much of a problem as previous managers have. But that's what I would say, Dave. You know, the other managers, they struggled to really motivate, the guys that weren't given minutes in kind of the Premier League games to really step up in these games. And let's see if Ange can do that. Can he get Lo Celso to really be pumped up for this one? Can he get a Højbjerg to really be pumped up for this one? Let's say a Sanchez all of a sudden gets thrown into this one. That would be an interesting one, whether he really is fit and firing. Those sort of things previous managers have been very unsuccessful in. And it's kind of why we got embarrassed on so many occasions, because the other managers tried to make a change or two just to give guys a rest, and it ended up kind of backfiring for them. So I think he needs to make changes, but at the same time, he needs to make sure that those guys are going to deliver, because that's where it goes.
Yeah, on that, Brains, do you agree with Jack there that, that we have got rid of a lot of them sort of players that maybe had that sort of weak mentality going into them cup games? Or, he's still nervous tonight because we still, Sanchez was a part of them, Davies was a part of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean about, not making too many changes at the back. It's one thing having a core squad who play brilliant football together, but it's like when you upset a core, if it was a drop off on competition, you could even put Phillips in, you could put Sanchez in, but when you have a team that you've played loads who do know that Sanchez is problematic, I think they would be licking their lips if they were coming up against, imagine, see, you got Dama starting, right? And he's going down the wing, heading inward towards goal, because he'll make that run. He'll go inward, right? He will tear Davies to shreds. It will not matter about Ange ball. It won't. So what I think the big problem here is that there's a feel good vibe here, right? And everyone's belief is in Ange. I don't want that derailed here by by losing to Fulham and people going, oh, we're out of the cup of the second round. Don't want that. That can derail a little bit, like the vibe that we got going. The next two games in the Prem are games that we really should win as well. Why risk dropping this game here? Why risk at all? I wouldn't dare risk. Like, choose your strongest team. Show that you genuinely mean business in the cups. This is something we can win. I genuinely believe that. We have the best midfield in the league. We have, if we can play them, we have the best starting defense as a centre back, like in the back four. The way we play with Udogie, like flying up, the movable back four. I don't think anyone else moves like that. So I don't think we're copying Pep at all. By the way, I think we are moving quite original the way we move. So I just say, get it better. Get this team, like those players, the game time. Get them like soaring at a big win in the cup. Rather than like, oh yeah, like we don't know if Sanchez is going to be there. We don't know these other defenders. Don't just be giving them time. Like, we don't know if they're going to be there. Like, I'd rather not even play Sanchez because he is in talks to leave, and Dyer in talks to leave. Don't worry about those players. Stay strong with your core. Games are won on a core. I would have said, I'd be okay with Højbjerg coming into the six and replacing Bissouma if Bissouma is like outplaying himself. He's playing amazing, and you could see in the second half of the game on the weekend, you could see there was a little drop off. He might be overrun, so happy with that. But that's you bringing in Højbjerg, who is a strong player. I wouldn't risk swapping Skip in for Sarr. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't touch. I would have Sarr start. I wouldn't mess around there. And then for Maddison, you can do, because we saw how good Gio is. Gio needs the kind of the shout, the respect from his manager. Yeah. But even with that, if it's not happening in 45, go back, get Maddison back on. I just wouldn't risk the banana peel derailing something that's so beautiful right now, because I know how fickle this fan base is. I know that going out of a cup at this stage, when we all are truly thinking this could be our year for a cup run, I wouldn't derail it at this point.
Look, I think you make a number of good points there. I think, there is a fine line on how much rotation, that Ange needs to get done tonight. I think there's certain areas like centre-back you can't really touch. You got to go with Romero and Van der Ven. Left back, bit of a shout. But look, I think there's a fine line on the rotation today. It'd be interesting to see how much Ange will do, but also, what was it? The point you were saying about, like if we lose tonight, it could completely derail the good start, the vibes, everything else. And 100% it could, especially with deadline day coming up. If we don't get certain players out, it'll just sort of start compiling again. So for me, I think it's absolutely crucial that we get the win today to keep them vibes going for sure. Jacko Darkson G says, lucky for us, Mitrovic went to Saudi. We can win this.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Mitrovic, Dark Sun G, bit of a Mitro enthusiast, if you will. I'm kind of, part of the Itch fan club. So he was definitely one of the guys that, was sort of top of, the Itch, kind of levels. And I'm a little disappointed that he went to Saudi Arabia. But now that you put it that way, that means we're not going to have to come up against him. Absolutely delighted that now he's gone to Saudi Arabia and he's as far away as possible so he doesn't have to cause us any more problems, because he was always a guy that would cause us some issues. He has good hold-up play. Very good in the air. He almost like climbs over players the way he tries to win headers and everything. And he's just a bit of a nuisance. And who knows if also Romero were to play, those two kind of crazy, heads going at each other. You never know what could happen. So yeah, I'm actually glad Mitrovic is not on the field today, but a little sad to see him leave the Premier League at the same time. Dark Sun G, always appreciated him as a striker.
Is Vinicius there? Did Vinicius leave as well?
Carlos Vinicius? I'm not sure. Was there? Could have been there on loan, or did they get him permanently? I'm not really too sure.
I'm not sure. Raul
sure. Jimenez is the one who they've been playing with, like De Cordova. Reed, I think, is the other guy they kind of play alongside him. But that's I don't see them making too many changes. And just quickly on Fulham as well, kind of Darks and G. I think Marco Silva, to maybe what Brains is saying earlier, like they could be a slippery team, and that Marco Silva, I think, is a good manager. He's a smart manager. I think he's done quite well with this Fulham team that everybody last season thought was probably going to be relegated or was going to be at least closer to the relegation, sort of positions, and they weren't. And I don't think they get nearly as much investment as other teams do in their team and in their squad. So he's a clever manager, and he could catch us out. So you have to be careful for sure.
Mitrovic would have been one I would have liked Tottenham to go and get. I think I would have liked him. He scores goals, but look, it's a big plus for us, Dark Zone G. It's an absolute huge plus. Big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. Look, we're talking about sort of lineups and stuff like that. I just want to hurt people's eyes one more time before we move on. And it's Ange Postecoglou about making changes, and we'll start with you on this one, Paul. So Ange said he will look to make changes to the lineup tonight. He told Football London, we'll make some changes. We've got some guys who are really keen to play and are working hard in training. And the way we play takes a lot out of us. It's a short turnaround and also another game the following week. We'll make some changes, but because we want to win the game, that's why we're making changes, not because I want to give guys a game. Hopefully by making changes, we maintain the intensity, tempo, and quality of our game, which is sort of something like Brains was alluding to. How many changes do you think we can get away with tonight? How many changes do you think we can expect Ange to make, Paul?
Well, I think like Brains said, I wouldn't, you don't want to start mucking around with the back line because it's showing itself to be quite an effective unit at the moment. So I suppose it'd be maybe changes in midfield. I don't want to see...
Could you make changes at fullback, though? Could you make the change at fullback? Could you bring Emerson in tomorrow? Could you bring David in for a Doji without really sort of seeing a massive drop-off across the back line?
No, I mean maybe Royale coming in, but Ben Davies hasn't got the pace to, I don't think, to either defend or get up the pitch. Although he's almost scored 2 goals this season, bless him. So. Midfield, I love that Maddison Basuma Sarr. I think that's such a nicely balanced, complementary threesome. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Højbjerg. Hopefully not a Skip. I really hope not. And then up front, maybe Manuel Solomon gets a go because that kid looks good. I don't think that would be a bad change to make. Maybe Lo Celso in midfield, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll have the superstars on the bench, so that if the wheels fall off, we can make some changes, or maybe we'll start off with the strongest team, put the game to bed, and then make the changes and rest some players. I don't know. Whatever happens, man, I'm just excited. So what will be, man.
Where are you at with it personally, Paul? What would you like to see in regards of team selection? Every rotation, sort of only 3 or 4 changes. What would you like to see personally?
Maybe a couple at most, really, because I think it's still early days for this team. They're still, even though I haven't been able to believe some of the football I've been watching, it's only the start, and they're only going to get better and better and better. I'd like to see the same 11 that we put out on the weekend, really, and then, like Brain says, make some changes for Burnley on the weekend, because that's the one that's a marathon, not a sprint. But tonight it's do or die, isn't it? You got to put your best team out if you want to get through.
For sure. Brains, my man, back to you, because you were sort of alluding to this, right? There is a risk with too many changes tonight, right? Could come back to hurt us.
Yeah, it's like anything. Once you've got like a couple of games, they got 3 games. They got 7 points out of 3 games. That's a real good success for the Prem, right? That's great. So there's a bit of confidence there. Like, I wouldn't. So it's like you don't want to disable too many things. Like, obviously, I think even players will feel confident with, like, Mads and Basuma taking a break because they've been our best players so far, and bringing in Højbjerg to replace Busy and Lo Celso to replace Madison. I think even the players around them will think that's fair enough. Like, that's really good. You're not really going to lose anything there. It's just it's worrying areas that you might lose things. I think up front, I think is where you really can experiment, and experiment necessarily, like, see how an all-out right footer plays on the right, because we need to know we need to get some stats on that. See how a lefty goes to the line, and then and see how, like, what Son works as a 9 throughout the whole game anyway, like, and then if maybe there's like 1 or 2 go, because what could you see happening, right? Say they do work with that as a front line, stay solid at the back, get the game out the way, then bring in some players at the back and rest some legs, right? But what you gain, you risk nothing, right? Because Richie, you can say you've got the weekend, just, we need to change a few things. He'll be fine with that, right? And that actually might, like, boost, give his legs a rest, take some time, get his head in the right place. But what you gain is, what if Sonny scores like 3 quick goals? Or what if everything just matches up and Solomon's got an assist all of a sudden? Perry's got 2 assists or something. And the game's like, it's all just working beautifully, right? Then what you gain out of just 1 or 2 changes up top, it just, you've got real good stuff to work with going forward. I just think changing it on the lower side, when for a fact they're going to start Adama, and you saw how he was when he came on the weekend. He was roasting players when he came on, and I just don't think, I don't think you can have VDV's got to play, because I think they'll bring him on that side. If Davies plays, the 100% he'll start that side. I think it's too dangerous a team, the way they play, to mess around with our backline. I think you risk so the risk v reward. What's the gain? Sanchez plays, he does okay. What's the gain? You could do okay, but what do you really gain? You know what I mean? So it's like, whereas the risk is Adama annihilates Sanchez. The window closes. We're keeping Sanchez now, and now we've got a guy who knows he'll get annihilated by certain players. So his confidence has gone out the window. Now we're out of the cup. Sanchez thinks it's his fault, and then everyone's going, oh, but why did we risk that? Then people start questioning the manager's decisions at certain stages. So I just don't think none of that is worth risking. I think, and even just from reading his comments there, I kind of read that was kind of like, there's players waiting in lieu, like Solomon's waiting patiently for his goal. Lo Celso's waiting patiently. We're going to make some changes. Give them a go. I don't hear him saying, oh yeah, we've got Dyer and Sanchez waiting to play. I don't hear that from what he's saying. Like, he wants to win.
He does. And look, we'll go through the individual sort of positions together as a foursome. Just in a couple of minutes. Tyler says, Tyler, member for 15 months. Big up, Tyler, my man. Really appreciate the longevity of the sport. It's absolutely amazing. We're very lucky in that regard, actually, that a lot of the members, they're all sort of long-serving members, so big yourselves up. Tyler says, good afternoon, gents. Thank you for everything you guys do for the community. We appreciate your streams and videos more than you guys could know. Come on, you Spurs. Well, Tyler, my man, I really, really do appreciate that. Sometimes, you know, you think, oh, look, you know, the people really care what we have to say. They really enjoy it and stuff like that. So it's nice just to hear that every once in a while, my man. So big yourself up, Tyler. It really does mean a lot, brother. Big up, my man. Really
Hopefully you're keeping
appreciate
well
it.
today, my friend, and let us know next time you're out on the courts playing some tennis. And sounds like he's not going to be playing pickleball anytime soon, Dave. He didn't seem to have the kindest of words for pickleball, Tyler.
No.
So we'll see you soon, my man. And I actually, you know, since I'm not good at tennis, you know, I'm playing pickleball every now and again. So would love to, you know, play some time with you, Tyler, if I ever meet up with you. Big up, man.
Oh, I reckon Tyler's another one that's going to be sneaking off to order that new third kit. But big up, Tyler, my man. Big yourself up, brother. Everyone, keep smashing that like button. Hopefully, if you are enjoying the stream. Also, keep getting your comments in. Feel free to throw in a super chat or grab a channel membership to help support your boys. And usually, you know, the talking points on them, on the super chats, your opinions really do lead to some great discussions. So don't ever be afraid to throw them in. What's the story? Big up there. Hopefully you're keeping well. Hopefully you've got that cottage pie in. The mash on top is just browning at the top very nicely. Then you know it's ready. He says the players are chomping at the bit to pull those lovely new jerseys on. The trick is so that Fulham can't see them under the lights. They'll be invisible. And that's the trick there, you know. But me and you would look like a ham sandwich in it, so we definitely can't wear them anyway. But big yourself up, my man. And hopefully you're ready for that game tonight. I cannot wait. Great to see you in the building. But look, Jack, I'll throw a question at you and then we'll start going through maybe some positions. We'll start with goalkeeper. But the likes of Hugo Lloris, Harvey White, Dyer, Ndombele, they all still sort of remain at the club despite not being in the plans of Postecoglou. Do you think we might see some of these guys, you know, take the bench tonight? Is there a risk of that? Do you think we see any of them in today's squad or should Ange just continue to leave them out completely?
Yeah, I feel like hopefully not. I feel like Ange is going to pretty much just sort of keep them out of the squad as long as he can until the window closes, and then he'll probably have to reconcile with, you know, trying to integrate them back into the team, you know, without, you know, integrating them too much, because he seems to obviously not rate most of these guys that he's sort of left out of the squad for some time. I agree with kind of what Brains is saying, and to kind of build off of that, Dave, I feel like you can make changes to this team, but you can make changes without really costing too much of the quality or the actual, you know, ability that we can produce. But if you end up making changes unnecessarily, like Brains was saying, at like center back, or maybe at a, you know, potentially a left back with a Ben Davies or a Skip, throwing him in there, you do end up risking sacrificing that overall quality that we could produce as an 11. Whereas if you make changes like Solomon, I don't really know how much of a huge drop in quality you're going to have with a guy like Solomon. I don't know how much of a huge drop in quality you're going to have with a guy like maybe even Højbjerg coming into the team. As much as we do feel like, you know, he's not perfect like Basuma is for that number 6, he's not, I think, going to let us down in any huge ways. But there are other players that could potentially let us down that don't really feel like risks, or don't really feel like they're worth risking, don't really feel like you're going to gain very much from playing them. Because at the end of the day, what we want to gain is winning this and keeping this cup competition alive, keeping this run alive. And you risk that more by playing players that we all know are going to be a huge drop in quality versus maybe making some changes in some other positions that might not be as much of a drop in quality, like a Lo Celso being another maybe example there. So I would definitely tolerate certain changes, but that's, I guess, the point, is only certain changes that we know are players that should be good enough to kind of deliver at a similar level to what the other players have been. So I would also, no Tanguy, please, no Dyer, please, no Lloris, please. Keep them away from the squad as long as you can, and hopefully they make their moves, you know, away from the club.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody's with you on that one, Jacko. Good answer, my man. Big up Teddy Lark. He says, morning, lads from Australia. Got work at 8 a.m. It's 2 a.m. now, but can't sleep. Got to see these Spurs. Let's go, boys. Well, big up, Terry, my man. I mean, you're in the same boat as Paul. So fair play to you. The commitment is absolutely honourable. And, you know, when they're talking about putting statues out the stadium, maybe we can have Teddy and Paul alongside it for their commitment today. That's absolutely unreal. But look, let's go through maybe some of the changes. Let's find out where everyone's at in their head with the changes. Look, goalkeeper, for me, I would actually start Vicario. I know we put Fraser Forster in the predicted lineup, but Jack Jack sort of had more influence on that one. But I wanted Vicario because for me, I think Vicario, Romero, and Van der Ven should absolutely stay the same, because I think if Fulham press us, which I think they'll look to at some point in the game, if you don't have that quality in the midfield or at fullback to progress that ball, you got Vicario who can beat that press with a pass out from the back. So for me, he'll always give you that opportunity to be able to spring an attack. But also he's invaluable for us keeping possession. We've seen that against Bournemouth, against teams that do have the balls to press us, that, you know, he doesn't rush it. His distribution is there at some point, and he can help play out from the back. And he's crucial to us building out from the back to suit Andrew's system. So for me, I'd rather go with Vicario. But Jack, you did make a sort of you did want, so maybe explain that, and then we'll see where Brains and Paul are at with it.
Yeah, the only reason I kind of thought Fraser Forster. The only reason I wanted to throw Big Fraser in there is because I feel like he's probably a decent number 2, and usually number 2s are given some sort of chance or some sort of minutes at this stage, and it's kind of an unspoken rule, or maybe just something that just most managers seem to do, where they do end up sort of giving the number 2 goalkeeper minutes in the other competitions that perhaps just would be their chances to get minutes, because it's not really a position where I think you get nearly as tired or as, you know, overworn, you know, or worn down by other positions. But at the same time, I think you need to give that number 2 minutes when you can, just in case he ends up taking over for the rest of the season, like maybe Forster did at one stage last season with Lloris's injury. I think he ended up showing he was pretty good with his feet, much better than Lloris was, actually. And it's kind of ironic because, you know, Fraser Forster probably has more of an excuse not to be as good with his feet. He's older than Lloris, and also actually built much taller, much sort of like clumsier, you know, with the way that he's kind of built. And I'm surprised how good he was with his feet last season. He brought a tear to my eye with some of the passes that he was able to make out the back that Lloris wasn't. So I think if Postecoglou has confidence in him, it would be realistic to think that these would be the games that Forster actually would be given minutes. Whether you think it's a good idea or not, I do see Postecoglou giving Forster potentially a chance in this game, just because these are the games where the number 2 goalkeeper usually gets given minutes.
Interesting. Paul, who do you think should be in the net? Do you agree with me that we should sort of maintain with Vicario to have that sort of out ball? Or do you agree with Jack? Look, there's no harm in throwing Fraser Forster in. He's proven that he's a worthy deputy.
Oh, look, Foster is a worthy deputy if Vicario has an injury, but Vicario wasn't called upon much on the weekend, so he should be fairly fresh. And the guy's completely in form at the moment. I don't know why he wouldn't play him. You know, he's a sure thing between the sticks. So I'm much, you know, his reflexes are so much sharper than Foster's for a start. I think they're both good on the ball, which, you know, I hate seeing goalkeepers playing football, but you know, that's the modern game. And Vicario looked really good on the weekend on that. So no, I wouldn't be putting Foster in, man. I'd be staying with Vic. No worries.
Brains.
Actually, I kind of in my predictive lineup, I actually did put Forster, and I think one, I'd preface it saying if I was Ange, I probably wouldn't. I would stick with Venom, Romero, and VDV. But I wouldn't. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I think Forster's got safe hands. I think he has a very safe goalkeeper. So I wouldn't be absolutely, you know, torn apart if they changed there. But I probably would still prefer to keep that dynamic of those three, building that relationship, just to get stronger and stronger.
So I think we'll go with Vicario on that. So we're at that. We're at Vicario and goals. Chat. Let us know where you're at. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Jack, I've just got a knock on the door, Jack. So you take over. Take the Dark Sunday super chat there and go into right back.
Ask them what their starting position is. Who's starting? Ask the guy
who do they prefer, Big Vic, or do they prefer Fraser? Dark Sun G says our goalkeeper, midfield, and right back are really stacked for once. Come on, you Spurs. We have probably wasted nearly a small country's GDP, I feel like, on right backs and full backs, Dark Sun G. So it's nice to see that perhaps we do have some sort of future now, finally, We've wasted money on Sessegnon, Aurier, Doherty. The list really does go on. Even, my very own DeAndre Yedlin from Seattle, you look back in the past, so many players that have just gone and been wasted or not wasted, maybe in a way we're just, never good enough. But it's nice to see us have some sort of strength. And Pedro Porro and Emerson in particular, I feel like what's brilliant is they both came into the Premier League kind of with weaknesses in certain areas, but also massive strengths in others. I think Emerson always was a very good defender and maybe hasn't really been credited for that until this season. And he's always needed to work on his ability going forward. But I think slowly we've been seeing he's improved massively in that department. And then also, at least in possession, I think he's actually quite safe, makes good decisions, enjoys that no-look pass that I think sort of calms down the team, ironically, because he does seem to sort of do a better job about not taking as many risks, I think, on the ball, which does help us, I think, in possession. And then Pedro Porro, on the other hand, is sort of the opposite. Came into the Premier League with a lot of question marks defensively, has had to work on that, but was far, far better than Emerson going forward and being able to play passes in behind, put in good crosses, shots on goal, those sort of things. So I think what I like about them both.
What did you think of Porro's defensive display on the weekend?
It's looking better.
I thought it was incredible. When at one point, like, it seemed like everyone was kind of caught out for a second, and he made this block, then it went out, and he turned around and he was like, "Oh!" I was like, "This is amazing!" Like, he's actually loving this side of the game, which I think that's like super impressive, because you can tell he's someone who loves getting forward. He likes putting balls in. He likes scoring, shooting. And then to put a display like that in, I just thought it took me by such a surprise.
What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, he's been getting better and better. I mean, that first little period against Man United, he was standing off his man. He was, a bit Eric Dyer-esque with the distance he was giving. But towards the end of that first half and ever since, he's been fantastic. And he's shoving one up Gary Neville. I know Gary Neville is one of the 95% of fullbacks that can't take a ball on a half turn, but both of ours, they're in the other 5%. Gary Neville, he just used to boot the ball up the Beckham his whole career. So, it's been really pleasing to see, because that was like one of my big concerns over, I suppose, the squad. Can Porro defend? And he certainly can.
No. By the way, now making Dyer into a noun, Dyer-esque. It's probably one of the most brutal ways to put down a defender. Oh, he's Dyer-esque. Oh my God, career over.
Yeah.
Darkson G2, though, I would say Emerson or Porro, actually, and what Brains was bringing up there. I think Porro has always just been a very passionate sort of guy, and even the way he celebrates, he's practically screaming his lungs out, on any chance that he can get. He seems to be, on that passionate side of things where he just loves winning or just loves every side of it. But maybe he didn't, perhaps he enjoys a tackle, but he just wasn't making enough of them on a consistent basis where he could really celebrate them. But the difference, I think, between him and Emerson defensively is Emerson does handle himself a bit more physically, whereas Pedro Porro, I think, has that sort of nasty bite in him, kind of like a small, dog or terrier would, right? And that also, I think, helps. He's that sort of guy that won't back down from the fight. He won't back down from, a guy running at him, even though he might lack in certain areas where Emerson might be looking a bit better defensively. Porro looks to be gaining confidence defensively, but he's also looks to be, not really in any way getting bullied, at least as much as he could be for a guy who's not very big or, not very intimidating, at least, let's say.
So where are we at then with right back? We going with Emerson tonight? I think, look, for me, I'm happy to go with Emerson. I think equally, they both offer us something between Porro and Emerson, but I do think we'll make a change tonight. I think Porro's exerted a lot of energy in the last two games, and I think we'd get away with making a change there personally. So are we all going with Emerson tonight?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Why not? Big up, Darkson G-Do, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. So we'll all agree we're not making changes at centre back. Does anyone want to make a case for Sanchez or Dyer or
not at all?
Paul?
It's been a great pleasure to see Dyer's name nowhere near the team sheet for the last three games. It's really sending a positive message, I think.
Yeah.
But if Sanchez comes in, like playing this way, Sanchez looks like an all right defender. Like last year, he had to sit back, do nothing until players run at him, and he can't cope with that. But if he's tracking back, he's got the speed to do it, and he puts in well-timed tackles. So, you know, I mean, I do want to see Van der Ven, because when he tackles the ball, he progresses play. But, you know, I wouldn't be disheartened as I was this year, last year, seeing if Sanchez ends up on the line out.
I just think it's a huge risk personally, because for me, he's got the pace to track back, but he's going to rely on it too much. That should be the last thing he's resorting to rely on. You know, he should be in the right position. He should be, you know, getting tackles in this, that, and the other. And for me, I think, you know, I always see the guy sprinting backwards. That's my problem with the guy. You know, he never really does defending the way Romero does or Van der Ven does. And for me, I think if he comes in tonight, Fulham target him 100%. Put balls just in behind him, watch him turn like a roundabout, you know, and just be all over the place. I get what people are saying about he's got the pace to suit the system, but surely there comes a point we have to learn from our mistakes. You know, this guy's been just as culpable as the likes of Dyer has been, Davies has been, Sess Young has been a part of all these cup exits. And there's a reason why we bought him for 47 million and we're selling him for 10 million, because he's just not at the level we think he is. And for me, I think it's a huge, huge risk to bring him in. We already talking about the game being a tight, cagey affair. I think that he could be one of the difference makers if he ends up coming in, and not to, and that'll be to our detriment. So for me, because although I hear it, right, people say, oh, well, you know, he's looked half decent. So, okay, but we still conceded 4 against Barcelona. You know, we still conceded 4, so it's sort of like, how good is he really? You know, he's not a difference maker, is he? You know, like a Van der Ven is, or that. So for me, I think it's a huge risk personally. I really do. I think it'd be a mistake if Ange puts him in there tonight.
He's made, I think.
Plus,
sorry, no, finish your point, Dave. My bad. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and plus, why Romero and Van der Ven are striking up that partnership and keeping clean sheets. I think for me, I've always spoke about how important that back line is, how important it is to have a good defense that keeps clean sheets, and it wins you games, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks. I've always said Tottenham Hotspur will score goals, but what we can't do, or what we keep doing, is conceding them too much at the other rate. And since we've improved that, we're now notching points on the board. So for me, I would like to continue on that partnership and let it blossom. I don't want to break it up, because I think you're bringing a Sanchez there. I think it could be to the detriment. You go out the cup. We heard Harry Kane at the end of last season talk about how going out the cup against who was it? We went out the cup against someone else at the back end of last season. And Harry Kane spoke about the knock-on it had effect for the Wolves game, the AC Milan game, etc. It absolutely kills momentum. So for me, I don't want to see that change. But sorry, Jacko.
No, I was just going to say we could be perhaps confusing, you know, where Sanchez looks a lot better, but that's, I think, comparing to where he was, like, you know, 6-7 months ago. Like 6-7 months ago, he was behind the pecking order of Tanganga, behind the pecking order of Longley, behind the pecking order of Dyer, Davies. At one stage, we even saw like Emerson being used as a center back before Sanchez was being brought into the team. He was actually at the very last of the pecking order under Antonio Conte, and not just Antonio Conte, under Ryan Mason. Ryan Mason gave him like almost no minutes at all when he was taking over the team towards the end of the season. He persisted with Longley as well as Romero as the back 4, and then I think he threw in Davies every now and again too. So you think about it, I think it's just we're confusing Sanchez with where he was like 5-6 months ago, where he looked completely useless. And now he looks slightly better than that. And I think that's where maybe we're getting it a bit mixed up here, is he looks better than what he did 6 months ago. But that doesn't mean he gets into the team or anything.
And the thing is, I heard this last transfer window, right? People give me all the stats about Sanchez. I says, look, you can feed me with them. I'm going to reject them because they're going to come back to haunt you in the season. And that's exactly what happened. And it's just going to be the exact same again. Although I do hear the argument, I just don't necessarily agree with it. But big up Ellie. Ellie says, hey lads, big up Paul and Brains too. I really hope Richie scores tonight so we can see you two do the chicken dance live on air. It's the pigeon, Ellie, and I will be the judge. I'll be the one laughing, watching, and that will be the judge of who does it best. Now, look, I'll be honest, I'll concede to Jack on this one. I think Jack has it down to an absolute art form. You know, right now, he's way ahead on how good it looks coming across on the camera. But look, you know, will he have the same enthusiasm as me, Ellie? I'm not so sure. So we'll wait and see on that one. But
the neck power is crucial, Ellie. The neck power is crucial in it. And it sounds like she's backing herself that she does it even better than us, maybe, Dave, because she seems to think that she'll be celebrating the pigeon even harder than us, Ellie. So I'm looking forward to it. You definitely got to have Theo do a video of you if Richie scores it all today. And also Dave is backing, I think, Richie to grab a goal, or at least he's throwing a cheeky bet on it. So at some stage, he wants to pigeon celebrate, Ellie, at some stage.
You got to sign off with the pigeon talk, Jack. That's how you do it. So there you are. Big up, Ellie. I told you we've been practicing. I can't wait to unleash it. So big up, Ellie. Great to see you in the building, and really do appreciate the support. And hopefully you are pumped. I know Ellie's excited. I hope everyone else is sharing Ellie's excitement. We are forgetting we have a bloody cup game this evening. Come on, you Spurs. But look, let's move into left back, Paul. We'll start with you on this one. For me, look, I think there's a huge risk bringing in Ben Davies tonight, especially if it's at left back. Personally, he gets roasted out at left back. I think it's a huge concern. But saying that, he's sort of done well coming off the bench the last couple of games. And I know Doji has sort of been declared fit, but I think it's a bit of a risk to put him out there tonight, maybe overplaying him. I would prefer to hold him back for Burnley on the weekend. So who do you want to see at left back tonight, Paul?
Oh, I definitely want to see Destiny in there because he's such an exciting player, isn't he? I don't know. I've watched last week's game or the weekend's game so many. Well, I've watched it a couple of times just to see. He just glides past players. He's like a ghost. But I suppose if there's going to be a change, maybe it'd be something like because Van der Ven can play at left back as well. Maybe let Van der Ven out there, and I don't know, maybe Sanchez might be ending up at centre half. But I'd definitely be more excited. Well, if it was Van der Ven or Udogie, I'd be excited either way because I'd be curious to see how good Van der Ven is at left back.
Interesting. Anyone think Van der Ven might be given a go at left back tonight?
No, because that would mean
playing
Sanchez. That would mean Sanchez or Dyer coming in at center back, and he doesn't seem to rate Davies as a center back, or at least at one stage in preseason. Ange was playing Davies at center back, but he said, I see him more as a left back. I'm just sort of doing this for whatever reason. I think that's just because he really didn't want to play Eric Dyer. So yeah, I actually feel like it's not going to happen tonight simply because there really isn't any real center back option, at least to what we're aware of, that would fill in at left-sided center back, at least yet. I would like to see Van de Ven there at some stage. He'd probably be better than Ben Davies, but I don't think we have the cover if we were to move him over.
So do you want to see at left back then, Jack?
I'd love to see Udogie, but I think it is going to be the vanilla ice cream of Ben Davies, and we'll see how it goes. I think he's going to offer something very different in that he's not going to be able to make those runs that Udogie does with the ball. I'm also questioning whether Ben Davies can even play this sort of infield type role because he struggles in possession in general, even as a center back, as a left back. I do feel like he has his moments in possession where he looks like he doesn't really know what he's going to do with it. Kind of looks a bit, panicked, like he's not really ready to make the decision yet who he wants to give it to. And when you're playing more as like a defensive midfielder, or playing more in this kind of infield, inverted role, I think that's going to ask even more of you, in possession. So I'm curious how that's going to go for him. I'd like to see Udogie, Dave, but I do think it's going to be Ben Davies because Ange seems to have confidence in Ben Davies for, I think, leadership reasons that you've brought up, if I'm not mistaken. Perhaps it's not as much of the quality or the skill. It's actually that Ben Davies keeps his head about him, doesn't maybe get as sort of, overworked like Dyer does. And I guess is more of a, what do people call it? A steady Eddie. I think he's more of a steady Eddie than Eric Dyer and some of the others are. So I guess Ange must like that about him.
Brain's huge risk, right, Ben Davies? That's the sort of drop off in quality that maybe you're alluding to.
Too big for me. Too big a drop for quality. I mean, I do get that.
Was it not risk playing Udogie though with a knock though, Brains?
I don't think he's got a knock. I was really confused when he went off because he was doing this thing like with his head, like as if he had a head injury. Yeah. And then it turns out like he didn't have anything. So it was just kind of a bit odd. He apparently didn't want to go off. I think he's fine. I think it's too big a drop. Like I don't actually mind Ben Davies coming on in games, like 20 minutes to go and stuff. I think he's been all right. He's actually like, he's got some utility to him. But in a game like this, against the potential players who might be playing, you know, I think on either side they're actually rinsing and going backwards. And you can't just like rely just on Van de Ven's speed to deal with Adama. Like, he might be able to match him speed wise, but like he'll also have the inside to worry about, you know. So I think Davies getting back fast enough is too big a problem against this team.
Yeah, look, be interested to see what Ange Postecoglou does there tonight. You know, the perception is right now that he trusts him as a trusted lieutenant off the bench to provide that maybe experience and a bit of know-how to see out the games. But I guess tonight will tell really how much faith Ange really has in someone like Ben Davies. So it'll be interesting to see whether he is selected or not. Let's move into the midfield, guys. And, you know, Jack, I'll start with you on this because I know he's one of your favorite players. Højbjerg, you know, many people predicting maybe this is where you might see one change, especially in the midfield. Højbjerg maybe in for Basuma. But can Højbjerg offer us what Basuma offers us? Or will we have to find maybe another way of playing or transitioning that ball out from the back if Højbjerg is in there, Jack?
Yeah, the one thing he's going to lack that Basuma brings us is that ability to break the press sort of on his own. Basuma sometimes can just pick up the ball and just take it past 2 or 3 guys, and all of a sudden the press is broken and we didn't need to give it to anybody, or we didn't need to make some sort of triangle to get through it. Whereas Højbjerg is going to need to rely on somebody to drop deep, somebody to make a run for him, somebody to show themselves that he can play the ball into. I think in possession, when he actually has his head up and when he has time on the ball, I think Højbjerg is far better than people give him credit for what passes he can make. But if he is under pressure and there are people kind of on his back and, you know, making it difficult for him to turn, I am a little worried about maybe us, you know, breaking out and us, you know, being able to build out from the back as efficiently as we have in the past. I guess it would then be more on players like Romero and Van de Ven to be able to step out, carry the ball, play some passes, as well as players like Emerson to be a bit more decisive in possession. And whoever's playing midfield, if it ends up being Lo Celso, he's going to have to be able to drop deep and help out a Højbjerg. I think that's where it's going to come from, is just Basuma at times just didn't even need Madison or didn't even need Papa Matsar. You can just sort of do it on his own to break the whole press. Whereas a Højbjerg, as good as I think he is in possession and passing, he's not as good at carrying the ball, and he's not as good at, you know, receiving the ball in the half turn. So he is going to need his teammates, I think, to step up in that regard. He's not going to be able to just pull off wonderful, you know, sort of magical step overs and sort of turns like Basuma can.
Yeah, look, I don't mind giving Højbjerg a go. I think there's a lot made about can he play this system. I think he can play it, or I think it's more of a question, does he want to fight for his place in the starting lineup? I think should be more the conversation around it. And then after that, should Spurs keep him against his will, even if he doesn't? I think that should be more the conversation around Højbjerg. But look, Paul, you did say earlier on you didn't want to see Skip in the starting lineup today. Why is that? Because I think he'd start over Papa Matsar for sure. I think Sarr would be rested.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a possibility, isn't it? He's just limited. You know, he runs into trouble. He's a bit sideways and backwards. I don't know. It just doesn't excite me. Maybe it's just a selfish thing, man. Maybe he'd be perfectly fine, but I've just been spoilt the last few weeks on our midfield. I really have, man. It's been just so delicious, and Skip ain't that tasty sometimes, you know. But I suppose you just need a plate of Brussels sprouts, don't you?
Are we asking? It's like
too much dessert.
Christmas dinner, to be fair, I actually do. But Paul, I mean, is it too weak having Højbjerg and Skip in there? Is there not enough sort of progressiveness or ball carries in that midfield if you play these two together?
Well, I think you saw on the weekend, Ange brought them on just to calm the game down and see it through to the end. And I thought Højbjerg was perfectly fine. You know, he's not obviously as good as the other main three, but he could do a job. And if we've still got at least one, you know, or two flair players in with him. See, I think Højbjerg tends to lift his game depending on who he's playing with. Like if he's playing with Skip, he's really bang average. But when he's playing with these more exciting players, it kind of gets into his blood a bit. He's not as good as them, but he's like adequate enough.
Hold
I
his
think.
own. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
he was
sure.
always good with Bentancur, wasn't he? He always
Very good.
Yeah.
Højbjerg is good with a player that can play football, right? You pass the ball to Bentancur, you play 1-2s with him. You do it with Skip, you can't. It's that simple. But look, Brett, Postecoglou did say that Lo Celso will play today. He will start today. Does he start in front of Maddison like many are predicting, or do you see him maybe coming in for Papa Matsar and playing there?
Oh, I tell you what, I'd love to. I actually been saying this from the start, like that I wouldn't have had this battle between Maddison and Lo Celso. I don't think they're the same type of 10. You get different types of 10, right? You see the way Matters drops his shoulder and goes. Like Lo Celso does have that in his game, but it's not his game. It really isn't his game. Lo Celso is more of a articulate, cultured, putting the ball through the line type guy, and he'll do it from different places on the pitch than Matters will. And also, Lo Celso is a workhorse type player. He will come in, drop into the half space from our goal, and then work from there. So they are just completely different types of creative players. I think I've always thought they'd work really well together. So I wouldn't mind if that. I'd love if that was the case. If Matters was actually the 10 and he was one of the 8s, because I think he actually fits the type of 8 that like a Hatate type 8. Like I think Gio is more like that, and it showed the positions that he came up in the box to score. But I think Paul's right with Skip. When you're watching what Sarr has in his game, the ability to put a ball through the line, on the 45 with his left foot to see the run. Let's be honest. Have we ever seen Skip do something like that? He doesn't have it in his game. Like, so when we see Skip pop up and get a header in the box, it's kind of a one-off thing. We see him hit a ball in the half space against Chelsea. It's a one-off thing. You can't go forward on those bases. Like what you can go on is so Skip's just a very hard worker. He's a brilliantly strong, hard worker. And if we had injury crisis this season, that's the only time I would say, look, well, it's at least we have Skippy. And that's not how you build midfields, right? I'm not that bothered if Bezzy has to take a little bit of a break and Højbjerg comes in. It is a drop-off. There is a different type of dynamic of a player there. But then I wouldn't want to see Højbjerg and Skip together. I feel that they're a bit too similar. They're a bit too wooden. Højbjerg's brain kind of shuts down a bit. He doesn't turn and see, there's Skip there quickly. Like he kind of plays more defensively. He's like, all right, move the ball, get up. Basuma is a 6, but he'll get to the box. Højbjerg, will worry too much about being turned over. So I think, I just don't think if you're going to play them together, I think play them together when you're coming on to shut a game down, because they'll both kind of sit as 2 6s, but not when you're trying to go out and win a game in a half,
I agree.
So I think it's some big decisions to make if you're going to start Højbjerg. I don't think you start Skip. You're going to start Skip. You don't start Højbjerg.
I think you start Højbjerg over Skip just because he's technically better as well. You've got a better chance to go and win the game with Højbjerg playing. I think with Højbjerg, there's a lot made about his passing, but people forget a lot of the assists that he's had over the last couple of seasons with some great balls. There was one against Leeds for Harry Kane. There was another one. There was one last season. I can't remember who it was for, but it was absolutely unbelievable ball in behind.
He put the one in behind. He put the one in behind for Davies to set up
that was it.
Emerson Royale, and it was a beautiful ball.
Yeah, that was it. That was the one. Great memory, Brains. Great memory. I'll keep you on my pub team for Spurs quizzes. But as well, I think you make a great comment about Skip, about him being more of a hard worker than anything else. And that's what got him into the Tottenham team in the first place, because he was coming through a period where players didn't want to run for each other. No one really wanted to work hard. So that work ethic really shone through. But now that we've got quality in the team, he has to show that he has that side of the game to him. And if he doesn't, I fear he's going to fall behind. I've said this before. If he doesn't do it, he's going to have a similar career at Tottenham to Harry Winks, where he'd be kept around for so long, up until he's 26, 27, because he's homegrown, without really making an imprint on the game of football. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens there with Skip. But I definitely don't want to see Højbjerg and Skip start together. That's for sure.
Dave, there was a moment, you can see that in training, some of them are actually doing brilliant turns on the ball. Van de Ven did in the last game. There were so many turns, like dropping shoulder and turning out.
Yeah, yeah.
Van de Ven did it and like went on a little run. Like you can see, like Basuma and Mads are probably like having bets on how many times they can just like dead a guy.
Yeah.
And I remember, so you can see there's like this kind of bants is happening in training. Like, did I just body you because I just, but I remember seeing Skip doing it in one of the preseason games, and he dropped his shoulder and turned, and the ball was too far ahead of him. He didn't have the ball in close, so it just ran straight into Frankie de Jong. And it was like, of all players, you're going to turn one guy to see one of the world's best midfielders behind him, and then they went and just absolutely moved on an attack. Nothing came of it, but it's like, don't. If it's not part of your game and you don't know how to have the ball under control to do the turn, you don't do it. And in that moment, I remember just going, "Oh, he doesn't have that in the game. He probably wants to bring it in, but then there's so many things you have to understand about the ball to do that kind of stuff. Ball first always. Ball has to be at the foot. Don't just try turn and let it run. You have to have it under control.
Well, I mean, first of all, you shouldn't be learning to do step overs and letting the ball go between your legs when you have trouble controlling it and passing it, doing the basics. So let's just deal with the basics first before we progress on to, harder levels or more techniques and skills and stuff like that. This is the problem. Some of them think they're like Ronaldinho when in reality they're like Ronald from Crawley Town. You know what I mean? It's embarrassing at times, some of the inflated egos we've had to put up with. Jack Cayley Davies says, how strong will Fulham's Cup squad be today? Are you anticipating Fulham squad to be strong?
It's hard to know. Post, I guess, upsetting the Gooners, do they just want to ride, the high and, keep going with a strong team? Or do they want to look at that result where they put in a lot of effort and they really did strain themselves and maybe just kind of, rest a lot of players and just see how it goes tonight? It's hard to know knowing Fulham. I feel like both scenarios could be possible. Marco Silva is also apparently not going to even be on the bench. He's going to actually he was suspended. So does that mean he is going to field the strong squad? It's going to be an interesting one. I feel like Jimenez could be sat. We could see Vinicius come in. I think Jimenez is a far better player technically, but Vinicius, probably would want to try to score against us. Willian, I guess, is injured. That's actually a good sign for us. I do think he has been good for Fulham, and he's one of their more creative players. Andreas Pereira, not a bad player for them, but they could probably rest him. They use him all the time. And then De Cordova-Reid, I guess, is their other sort of strong player. It's not really the greatest of Fulham teams. So I think we should be just fine. I do expect some rotation, though, for a lot of positions for them. Kind of like for us. I think they will rotate like how we will. But there will be a drop in quality in certain positions for sure.
It'd be interesting to see how much they rotate because they did go out Crawley Town last year, and I wonder if Marco Silva maybe learned a little lesson there. So we'll wait and see, Cayley Davies. I think they will rotate some for sure. And then Ellie says, apologies to Richie and Pigeons too. Yeah, look, it will be when you see me and Jack doing our synchronized pigeon dancing. Look, I expect a call from America or Britain's Got Talent by the time we're finished there. So big up, Ellie.
Pigeons will be upset with us for our bad impersonation. Maybe even Richie will be upset with us. We're just going to need to, with more Richie goals, the better we get at the celebration, Ellie, the better we get.
I'd argue that they should be apologizing to us because we make them look boring with how entertaining we are, Ellie. So big yourself up, though. Really appreciate the support. But look, Jack, I want to ask you a quick question on Perry Perisic as well before we move on to Paul. Look, many people are expecting him to come in tonight at left wing, and we'll talk about where Sonny fits in. Do we go him or Richie just before we end off? But with Perisic, is there a world today, Jack, where he plays left back and we switch the inverted full back from the right to the left? Because I think Perisic could play that role for sure.
That's an interesting thought. And if you really had a lot of issues with Davies playing this inverted role, Perisic, at least in the technical department, would do a lot better. Much better in possession. It's an interesting one, Dave. I feel like what Perisic does best, though, is just operating in those wide areas, whether he's playing as just a left back or as a left winger. He seems most comfortable in possession in sort of his way of either cutting inside, playing a pass in field, taking it down the byline. It's just he's been doing it for 33 years or something like that. He seems to have, a book of moves that he's been, kind of relying on for a long time in those sort of areas. And it's kind of clockwork for him, the way that sometimes he's able to receive the ball, take it past his man, play a 1-2 with somebody. It's like he's done it, forever. And moving him to a new position, can he do it? I feel like he can, probably better than Ben Davies would. So I don't know, Dave, to answer your question, I feel like I'd be okay with that. If we were forced to make a move at left back, I think I might be okay with him playing there instead of Ben Davies, to be honest. I think he would be more comfortable, but I do like him in those wide areas. He looks to be like he's fit this system almost better than anybody in the left wing, right wing areas with what he does. He's just, with what he does with his crossing, his creative ability, he just fits the system like a glove.
But yeah, look, I think we all are expecting Perisic to come in on the left and also Solomon on the right. He's proven pre-season he can play on the right-hand side just as effectively on the left. So I think we're all sort of very, very excited to see what the two wingers sort of produce today. And it'd be interesting to see how much better they suit the system if Perisic is left-footed on the left side and Solomon right-footed on the right side. Does it create more chances for the forwards? So let's get into the forward line. Here we are. We've arrived. So, Paul, let's start with you, my man. Do you go with the big pigeon up front or do you bring Son into the middle and let's see what he's like? Because some people would say, well, if you're bringing in Perisic and Solomon, you can't really drop your captain tonight. You got to play him. And I'd also say, that Son came in up front over the last two games against Man United. It led to the second goal because he could do the hold-up play. He can lay it off, play people in. And also the same against Bournemouth at the weekend, right? He done that 1-2 with Edoji, which got the cross for Kulusevski. So he's had a huge influence as soon as he stepped into the middle over Richarlison. On that basis, who do you go with tonight? Do you go with Richarlison and try and play him into confidence? Or do you go for the kill and put Son up front?
I sense you're trying to lead me along there, David. So
you can answer how you feel, my man.
No, I'd stick with Son on the left and Richie in the middle, and bring Solomon in for Kulu. And if we see Richarlison, the same thing happens like it did on the weekend. Like his first half, I thought was fine last week. It was like his first touch was so much better. Like the first two games, the ball was bouncing off his shins and God knows what. But when the game got to him, he couldn't handle it. He went down. But Ange made the change at that point, and we came home. So I'd give him another go because I don't know if he is the guy. I don't know if he can do it. But the only way we're going to find out is to stick him on the pitch. And, I'd really like him to get some goals to get some confidence up. I really would.
From what I'm hearing, Paul, his confidence is absolutely shot. He's like, even with the team sort of walking around at the end of the game last week, he was walking around with his head down. He didn't really want to sort of be a part of it. He's very much in his own head right now. His confidence is supposed to be very, very low. Look, the fans can sit there and sing all the songs they want. The manager can say what he wants in the press, but ultimately it comes down to the individual and how they sort of react to sort of adversity. What would you do if you were Richarlison to try and get yourself back into form and back to the player that Spurs, bought off Everton?
I don't know, man. I suppose keep it simple. Just work on those runs. I mean, Fulham are playing Man City on the weekend, so I don't know if they'll look at that as a lost game already, so put a strong team out tonight, or maybe they'll do a bit of a Tottenham and prioritise the league over a cup. But hopefully he's had a bit of I don't know if support's the right word, but people building him up over the last couple of days. But I'm sure if he's been in training and he's been a bit wobbly, then Ange won't pick him because Ange wants to win the game. The other two, like both Son and Kulu, have been getting better. Like they didn't start off too good. I think Son's going like that and Kulu's going like that. And we just need Richie to, if he can just do what he did against Man United, but maybe for a bit longer, then eventually a chance will come to him, and hopefully he won't get tangled up in his own feet like he did. But I just want him to come good. I hope maybe old Mile Jedinak has been having a nice word with him. He seems like a tender guy, does old Mile. Score! 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 Get the ball in the back of the net, Richarlison. You know, that kind of thing. Maybe that's what he needs.
He's gentle.
Gentle, yeah.
Scored a few goals in these days, so
Never missed a penalty.
Yeah, he used to take penalties for Palace as well, if I remember correctly. If that's the guy I'm thinking of. Brains, what would you do tonight if you're Ange Postecoglou? You've got two decisions. You know, you're going to have to find someone in the squad that can compete with Richarlison up front, because Spurs ain't going to buy a striker. They're being priced out of the market no matter where they turn. But then you've also got Richarlison, who's sort of, look, he's not. There's no confidence about him. You know, he doesn't have that one touch. Like, you know yourself, Brains, you're a striker, right? It's got to be one touch straight in the back of the net. You can't. Once you take 2-3 touches, especially in around the box, your chance goes. So who do you go with tonight, my man? And if you were Richarlison, you know, what would you do right now?
I think so. Sometimes you need to, sometimes when you're in a bad rut of form, it doesn't help you to play and play and play and play. It doesn't really help. Actually, sometimes it's like, take a break, go to a spa, clear your mind, absolutely clear everything. And because you've got a game coming on Saturday, that's what I would, if I was him, I would just be, how do I just get this off my back? The worst thing that could happen is, it's a cup game, you know, no, we're going to stick with Richarlison. 10 minutes in, he gets 2 chances and misses them. All you're going to do is make that worse. You're just going to compound his stress. I can't even score with Fulham putting their second team out. You know, that's the type of thoughts that would go through my head. I would just, you know, you panic more and more and more. Sometimes clever strikers, they try to do this thing where they kind of hover a little bit out of the game. They go a little bit quiet and then they pounce. They try to get defenders off them, all these things. All he does, what I see him doing, he tries harder. And like I've said hundreds of times in football, if you have the fundamentals, it's not just about trying harder. If anything, sometimes with striking, it's about slowing everything down. The brain kind of has to subconsciously go, try less harder. You see him when he gets in that moment, he puts it, it's like brain's going, I'm going to try. It's like, no, dude. He should have, as soon as it came through and he got round the guy through the legs, he should have been slipping with his other foot in. Don't try too hard, you know. So I think
just on that quickly, I reckon every time the ball comes to him in a goal scoring position, right? You know, as a striker, there's so many things you have to compartmentalize in that split second, right? But I reckon it's being clouded judgment, because also the thought of, I need to score this, comes into his head as well. So he's not even thinking clearly.
Yeah, you can't have these thoughts in your head. It's got to be instinctual. That's why you train the drills of through the line, touch, hit, corner, through the line, other foot, touch, hit, corner. That's why you train it, because it's got to be automatic. And in the moments, you've got to slow everything down. A great player does that. And I don't know if he's there yet. I've never seen him in any of the teams he's played for, even for Brazil, where he's got 2 goals in a game sometimes. These crazy brilliant finishes, that doesn't tell me someone's a great striker at all. You know what tells me if you're a great striker is if you get up in the little hole of space and you tap the ball in, because that's quite difficult and it requires you to shut off and just gloat like a ninja into the right zone. I've never seen him do it. So for me, I don't believe he's a 9. I don't believe he's an out and out 9. So what I would love to see, because I think the upside's too big an upside here, is just starting with Sonny in the center and having a right footer and a left footer who go to the line, so that Sonny can make the inside run to either post to just do tap-ins. And I would just love Sonny to get 2 or 3 tap-ins, simple stuff. And then that would make you go, okay, calm down, to relax for us. You don't have to really go out there and find a center forward. The other thing that happens is, a bit of a risk here is, if Solomon doesn't have a really interesting, good start, it might push us forward to just get the Johnson deal done. If Solomon has a worldie, I think it might have us take a back step on bringing in Brennan Johnson, you know, because it'll prove to you you've got a right footer who can go to the line. So I would like to see Solomon on the right, Perry on the left, Son to the center, and let's just actually do Ange Ball's system how he wants it to be done, you know?
Yeah, I'm excited to see that tonight. I really would be. I think look, because also, another thing is, the reason why Postecoglou wants his strikers to get to the byline and beat his players across there, because you have the option of the striker coming near post, so you can put it there for
On
him
the
to
half
sort of
spaces.
flick
Yeah,
it in
the
or tap it in either side. But then also you have the 2-8 sitting behind. So, usually the back line is sitting on the 6-yard box, and it frees up that space in and around the penalty spot. So you've got your 2-8 sort of hoping to get in there on that space, running onto that ball and hitting it as well. So, I think I think it is important that, we do that. Look, I spoke about this, I think, after the second preseason game with you, Jack, on that. I thought we'd have a problem up front, in general, that you might have to switch the wingers over and put Son on the right, Kulu on the left, if you want to play this system and be sort of effective. So, on that, Jack, is Richarlison being helped, though, in that case? The fact that you've got wingers constantly wanting to cut inside, and you've also got your 2 number 8s there in the whole defense, and then Richarlison has to switch his run and come back onside, which means you're sort of got a very congested area, which is very hard for strikers to get really any sort of chances. Or does Richarlison just need to be better? And who would you go with tonight, Son or Richarlison?
Yeah, Dave, I think you're onto something. I think it goes both ways with Richie. I think he is not getting the service, at least balls into the box, at that sort of consistent rate where you can say that he should be getting more. He should be getting more service, at least in that department, because that is where most people say is sort of one of his best attributes, is he is quite good at tracking those sort of kind of balls in the air and then making a pretty good attempt at it. He does have that sort of kind of neck power and that sort of aerial ability to rise above defenders and be able to really win it. That being said, though, if you're not getting that service in that sort of particular area, you can do other things than trying to get into the game. You can drop deeper, try to link up play, and then eventually I think you'll get some rewards for that sort of link up play, for helping out the team, for getting involved in the general play. Richarlison seems to be caught between sort of sitting constantly on the last man, sitting on the shoulder, waiting for that service. And then when he gets frustrated and decides to get maybe more involved in the play, drop deep, or, have the ball hit into him, he's kind of letting moves break down. He's not really holding it up in the way that a striker should. So for me, Dave, I think it sort of goes both ways for a striker. I think you need to be able to hold up the ball. You need to be able to get involved in the play to help the team kind of sort of flow through you. But then also you need that service, with those balls into the box, with those sort of pinged passes into you. And I feel like he's not really getting it. It's not entirely his fault. He should be getting more service, I think, with the crosses and with sort of at least the balls into the penalty area. But I think he could be doing a much better job getting involved in the general link up play in general, because that's what Kane did such a good job in. And he would usually get his just rewards for it later in the game for doing so. And it also sometimes just helps, a team get out of a funk by a striker just, dropping deep and, linking up a pass. Then all of a sudden, you've broken the lines of the midfield. So Richie has to be able to do both, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that for sure.
Sonny, for me, I think, sorry to answer, I think Sonny, should play down the middle for that reason. I think Sonny might actually do a bit better job at dropping deep and, linking up play than actually Richarlison will. Give Richie a break.
Yeah, I agree. And look, hopefully go and kill the game, get 2-3-0, and then, you can bring on Richie, and see what happens from there. But look, Faz Radfar says 3-1. Faz Radfar 3-1 Spurs says, what's the possibility of starting Dyer, Sanchez, and Davies? I mean, look, Ange Postecoglou just ain't that stupid, in my opinion. He's just not. All you got to do is go back and look at the record with these guys. They've all been involved in that back line. I don't want anyone to tell me it's not correct. It's true. I went out and sussed it out last year for a show that we done, Jacko. And I was astounded when what I've seen. I went through all the cup exits away, as painful as it was. It was even more painful constantly seeing these names pop up. So for me, it's just not going to happen, my man. It's just never going to happen. Yeah. He's not that stupid. But Faz, let me know. You're going to the game, brother. Let me know. Moondog says Richie is Dyer incognito. I mean, bit harsh, my man. But I know Moondog has his his skepticisms of Richarlison. He does think Spurs could be doing better, which I understand. But at the same time, he's not adverse to Richarlison proving him wrong, which I do like. But yeah, right now he is playing a bit like a Dyer or someone like that. With the loose passes and stuff like that. Moondog, hopefully that's set to change.
Why do I have a sneaky suspicion? While Moondog seems to be one of Richarlison's biggest doubters and one of the guys that's most frustrated with him, I feel like if Richie were to score today, Moondog might be the guy that probably might be going the most crazy if Richie scored at the same time. He feels like that sort of fan where even though he's doubted, Richarlison the most, he might actually go the craziest with the pigeon celebrations if he did score.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know Moondog will go crazy. He'll have no option because I know the son will be sitting there ready to do the pigeon. And then Michael, big up, Michael. He says, Paul O'Keefe just tweeted that Dyer is not in the squad for today's game. He's not sure whether it's transfer related or not. Look, first of all, fair play to Ange Postecoglou. Massive respect for that. He's done something that I thought Jose Mourinho or Antonio Conte would have done, to be honest with you. He smelt a rat and he's shifted him out. He's made it clear. You may not want to go anywhere, but you ain't a part of the plan, so get out of the club. I think that's a good statement to make. But also, look, I wouldn't say 100% it's transfer related. The fact that there's, Bayern Munich and Dortmund. It wouldn't surprise me if Dyer knew he wasn't a part of the match day squad and rang one of his mates to start up a rumor about Bayern being interested, just to have the excuse of why he's not in the match day squad, if you want me to be brutally honest. There's that, this is what annoys me. He's been out of the squad the last 2 weeks, hasn't even been anywhere near it, not even traveled this, that, and the other. Look, I don't believe the Bayern Munich rumors unless they're looking for someone to move in with Harry Kane and make sure he's all right. I'm not so sure, but look, regardless of, Andrew's made it very, very clear. He's even made it clear in the press conference. There's certain guys that just aren't a part of the plans, and he wants to find a solution for them. So we've got 2-3 days left to do it. So let's hope we can get it done, Michael. But fair play to Ange Postecoglou. I absolutely love it. He's shown his boss tendencies there. But look, guys, we'll go around. We'll get a score prediction off you. How far in the cup do you think we can go? And we'll let you plug yourselves. So we'll start with you, Paul, considering you stayed up late for us. I appreciate that, my man. So what's your score prediction? And, how far do you think we can go? Where can people find you?
Pleasure, Dave. I think it's going to be 2-0 to Spurs tonight. And we're going to win it. Just like we're going to win everything this year. That's it. Treble's on, man.
I really do hope so, Paul. I really do hope so. I want to be sitting here in a few, come February, March, talking about final with you, my man, or doing a pre-match build up to a final. Oh, it'd be absolutely quality. Yeah, but look, Paul, where can people find you as well, lad?
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Hotspur Hippie, the only psychedelic soccer show on the internet.
Oh, absolutely love it. People do get over there, smash that subscribe button, check out Paul's channel. He does great little short videos. I really do enjoy watching them. So make sure you get over there and check them out. Some would say his predictions aren't wild enough, but look, we'll leave it at that. But me and Paul will be appearing on Tottenham TV in about 15, 20 minutes time as well. So make sure you follow us over there and then back here for the watch along, starting at 7:15 tonight. But look, Paul, if you want to go and have a coffee or anything like that before we head over to Tottenham TV, you're free to head off, my man. I really appreciate that. People do get over there and check out the channel. Brains, lad. Look, what's your score prediction? How far can we go? And where can people find you? Just post your link in the private chat here for us to be able to put it in for you.
Yeah, so I'm at youtube.com/@DeadlyVenomsFC.
Great name. Great name.
So that's where you can watch me play football every Friday, Thursday night. Sometimes we'll be going live with some of the games soon, but just getting the subscribers up. So my prediction is if we stick with the kind of the team that we were talking about, like where we don't mess around too much with the center backs, then I could see us, strolling the game 2-0. And I think goals might come again. If Sonny's in the center, I think Sonny could get basically two tap-ins. If not, then I think if Richie does start and we still haven't touched the back lane, I still think we could win 2-0. But I think then probably Lo Celso gets a goal, or we get a goal from somewhere else, a header. Maybe Van de Ven gets a header at the back post or something. But it's if there is a lot of changes, if it's wholesale changes, I think it could be a very close game. I think it could be 1-1, and I think we just might end up like pipping it in penalties or going out on penalties. I just do not favour us if we mess with that back line. If we have Davies in over Doji, I think that could shape it. If we don't have the stability and the flair in the midfield, and we've touched that back line, I think we're in for a tough night. Because if you look at Fulham's squad, they actually do have quite a decent bit of depth. As in a mid-table team, I think you could
For a
put
mid-table team.
I think you could put two mid-table teams out. I think Harry Wilson can come in and play in the midfield and allow them to play with three up front, and that three could have Adama, Vinicius, or Jimenez, and Dico over Reed. So I think they've got options. I think they could be a dangerous team if you don't just put your best team in and go for it. I think we have to be careful here. I think it's a tough game. 2-0 if we go for our very best team and we're solid at the back. 1-1 and maybe an exit on penalties if we do not.
Yeah, look, I think it comes down to certain areas and what he rotates as well. So be very interesting. Let's wait and see what happens there. But everyone, get over, check out Brains' football team. What is it? Deadly Venom FC.
Deadly Venoms FC. Yeah, we're
Deadly Venoms FC.
Yeah, go and check it out.
Yeah, I love watching all YouTube, football YouTube. You know, you get so many sort of Sunday league clubs and clubs now sort of doing their own docu-series and everything else. So do get over there, check it out. Absolutely love it. You've had a few of your games up there, or highlights of the games as well, which I've watched. So
we've had a bit of offers for like investment because our kits are good and we do a lot of tournaments and we're kind of known in the London scene now. Like, as a really good team. Like, our tournament run this whole year has been like getting to finals of every tournament. Like, we just haven't won one yet, but we got to the finals and semi-finals of every tournament this season. So
wow,
so this is a long.
Yeah, what day do you think you'll afford Dave's wages? You know,
exactly. But that's the thing. We've actually got like someone who's looking to invest because we want the long term to actually build it as a club. So like actually having a youth team and actually finding our own grounds and stuff. So that's the long term game. So going over and joining the page now is just like starting the early journey. So it's come and join for the ride.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that, my man. I love it. I love the vision for it. Jacko, what's your score prediction? How far can we go, lad?
Yeah, I agree with Brains and others who have said that this could be a slippery one, a 1-1. I mean, I wouldn't be all that surprised with how these sort of go. You want it to go all according to plan, but it usually doesn't. Usually there is going to be some sort of surprise inclusion in a starting lineup, or Fulham end up playing a lot better than what we're used to. Something usually goes wrong, but I'm going to stay confident in Ange, and I'm also going to feel like Ange is actually going to deliver a much different, sort of vibe, and is going to maybe go after this maybe more than previous managers have. And so I feel like he wants to start this off with a bang. He wants this to start off with maybe no doubt whatsoever that he takes the cup seriously. So I'm going to say 3-0, Dave. Actually, I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go well. But every part of me, like I've said earlier, it could not go that way, depending on certain players that are picked, certain inclusions in the starting 11. It's all sort of hinging on that. But I do feel like Ange has said in the past that he really takes these cup competitions seriously. So he probably wants a convincing win then.
But do the players do it?
The
players coming in, do they take it as serious? That's the thing.
Every manager hasn't been able to do that, and that's what he's going to try to do differently.
Look, it'll be a very good test of our depth tonight. We'll find out how good it really is. I think with the score prediction, though, I think the jersey's gone to Jack's head. The new away jersey, the one that he loves. I think he thinks he's like Real Madrid or something now.
I've been shopping this whole time. Yeah, I got distracted. I've been on the team shop this whole time.
Oh, absolutely love it. The Outland says, I think Richie is a bigger version of Roberto Soldado.
Whoa.
And he's gone with a 2-2 draw, which means it will go to penalties. If that is the case, I'll be prepared to stay up late. But look, he's playing just as bad right now for sure. I mean, I remember Soldado, that guy couldn't hit a barn door with a bulldozer. It was embarrassing. And then big up Brian Ireland. Spurs are on the way to Wembley, and he's gone with a 2-0 Tottenham. Yeah, look, for me, I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham tonight. I'm feeling good. It's
Get in there.
There's no pressure on us. You should go out there, enjoy the moment, perform. I think that's exactly what they're going to go out there to do tonight. I think Ange will certainly hit on them about enjoying it and winning it. So for me, I'm excited to see what sort of team selection he makes today. I'm okay if he does make changes. I believe in the squad then and strength now than what I did maybe before. It's actually mad. I mean, last season, people saying make changes. I was like, no, don't do that because they're crap. And then when we made changes and I reacted to it, I was on the Real Tottenham TV pub-ups. People were like, oh, Dave, you're overreacting. And then by the end of the game, they were overreacting more than what I was. And now we're sitting here with better strength and depth. We're saying we can make changes. And people are like, no, don't make any changes. It's absolutely madness. It's the madness of following Tottenham Hotspur. But do you know what? I wouldn't change it for the world. Everybody, go and get yourselves fed. Go and get yourselves ready for the cup game starting at 7:45 tonight. Make sure you join myself and Jack back here for the watch along at 7:15. So many people really have enjoyed the ones we've put on this season so far. So make sure you come and be a part of it and celebrate with us. I want to say a massive thank you to Moondog, to Big Mike, to Neil Shafton, to Shefe, to Adrian, to Tyler, to Dark Son G, to Ellie, and to Kaylee Davies and Faz Radfar as well. Really do appreciate the support. All of you, every little absolutely helps Jack on our journey and our quest to produce the very best Spurs channel for the fans out there. So really appreciate that. And everyone else who has tuned in today, you guys in the chat with your constant engagement, your comments, your questions, everything else. It really does mean a lot. Thank you for tuning in to support. Come on, you Spurs. In Ange we trust. We never stop. Carabao Cup action tonight, baby. Let's go. In fact, instead of rigging the draw next time, Carabao Cup, just get me and I'll promote it for you. I'll make it more exciting. But let's go, Tottenham. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. And the big Ange, I trust. See everybody.
We never stop. Let's roll, baby.
Everywhere we go.